Hello and welcome once again. Today we are going to start our supplementary English book. The name of book is Footprints Without Feet. The first chapter is a story and the name of the story is A Triumph of Surgery. In this story, a veterinary doctor is narrator. He is narrating the story, and a very interesting story. He is narrating about a dog and its owner. The name of dog is Tricky, and Tricky is a small dog, and Tricky is pampered by his rich mistress. Pampered, too much love. She loves her pet dog too much. So it is written, Tricky, a small dog, is pampered by his rich mistress. She overfeeds him. And what happens if someone or some pet is overfed? You can guess. She overfeeds him and he falls seriously ill. Because of overfeeding, the dog becomes seriously ill. Now the question, before reading the story, there is a question: does the veterinary surgeon perform an operation? Because the title of the story is Surgery, Triumph of Surgery, a triumph of surgery. Triumph means victory, victory of operation. Surgery means operation. The question is here, the pre-reading task, you have to keep this question in mind while listening to the story. I am going to narrate the story to you. Does the veterinary surgeon perform an operation? Does the dog recover? These two questions keep in your mind, and 3-4 more questions are given before we start the story. Read and find out. Now you listen and find out. I have sent you the PDF of the story. I hope you must have gone through the story, and then you will enjoy. When you will listen, you will keep the text in front of you. Then you will understand it more. So there are 3 questions before you read the story. Before we start the story, there are 3 questions. Why is Mrs. Pumphrey worried about Tricky? So first I would like to tell you, who is Mrs. Pumphrey? She is the mistress. Mistress means here owner of the dog, Mrs. Pumphrey. Question is, why is Mrs. Pumphrey worried about Tricky? And who is Tricky? Tricky is the name of dog. What does she do to help him? First question, why Mrs. Pumphrey is worried about Tricky. Second question, what does she do to help him? Is she wise in this? And the third question, who is I in this story? The story begins with I. I was really worried about Tricky this time. So who is I? I is the narrator of this story, and the narrator of this story is a veterinary doctor. Doctor is worried about his patient. His patient is a dog, Tricky, this time. I had pulled up my car when I saw him in the street with his mistress, and I was shocked at his appearance. When the doctor saw the dog, he was shocked. He was surprised at his appearance. And how was his appearance? He had become hugely fat. Hugely fat means very fat, like a bloated sausage. Bloated sausage with a leg at each corner. Bloated sausage means a piece of meat is called sausage. And here you can see bloated, swollen. So he tells us the dog was like a bloated sausage with a leg at each other. It was looking as if it is hanging, his body is hanging on his legs, and his eyes, bloodshot and rheumy, stared straight ahead, and his tongue lolled from his jaws. This is in the first paragraph. The writer has given the description of the dog, his physical appearance. He was showing his tongue out. His eyes were red. So he was very fat dog, and this was his disease. Mrs. Pumphrey hastened to explain. Now, dog's mistress, Mrs. Pumphrey, is telling the problems of the dog. She says, he was so listless. He was so listless. Dog was listless means without energy. Mr. Harriot. Here we know that the name of narrator is Mr. Harriot. He seemed to have no energy. I thought he must be suffering from malnutrition. Mistress thought dog was suffering from malnutrition. Although he was very fat, it was her misconception. Actually, the dog was not suffering from malnutrition, but he was suffering from overweight. But she thought he must be suffering from malnutrition. So I have been giving him some little extras, vitamin meals, to build him up. She was giving her extra diet. For example, she was giving some malt, cod liver oil, and a ball of Horlicks at night to make him sleep. Nothing much really. She gives too much to eat, and she says nothing much really. This is the irony. Irony is that she understands that the dog is suffering from malnutrition. The condition is different. She could not understand the problem. Problem was overfeeding. She was overfeeding the dog, and dog was getting fatter and fatter, suffering from obesity. This is called obesity. Overweight. She could not understand the problem, and she is giving more and more to eat. In real sense, he should have been given less to eat. She says, nothing much really. This is the irony. She gives too much to eat, but she says, nothing much really. Doctor asked, and did you cut down on the sweet things I told you? Doctor had warned her. Doctor had told her not to give anything sweet to the dog. But what happened? She was so loving mistress that she could not stop giving. She says, oh, I did for a bit, but he seemed to be so weak. I had to relent. For some time I stopped it, but I could not stop it forever because he was so weak, and out of pity I gave her sweet things also to eat. He does love cream, cakes, chocolates. So I cannot bear to refuse. In spite of the warning of the doctor, she gave her everything to eat. Now doctor says, I looked down again at the little dog. Doctor is watching the dog carefully, and that was the trouble. Tricky's only fault was greed. Doctor says Tricky's fault was greed. Whatever is given to him, he eats. And that is injurious to his health. He had never been known to refuse food. Whatever is given to the dog, he eats. He eats, continues eating, and continues being fat. He would tackle a meal at any hour of the day or night. At any time, if he is given food, he eats. And I wondered about all the things which his memory had not mentioned. She gives too much, he eats too much. And again the doctor asked, are you giving him plenty of exercise? Well, he has little walks with me, as you can see, but Hodgkin the gardener has been down with lumbago, and so there has been no ring throwing lately. Doctor had told her to don't give too much to eat, don't give sweet things to eat, and involve him in some exercises also. But she says, no, we could not, the little walk only. He has his little walk only with me, as you can see, but it was the duty of gardener, Hodgkin, to take him to on walking, but he has been ill himself, so there was no exercise of dog. So in this way we can see that because of no exercise, because of eating too much, dog is getting fatter and fatter, and the mistress is very much worried about her dog, and she consults the doctor. That's all for today. We will read the next part in the next video. That's all. Thank you.